Hi there, and welcome to Food Program Know-How, the channel about all things CACFP. Today, we're going to talk about a very simple area of KidKare called the dashboard, but a very powerful tool to use to help you keep maximizing your funding each month. So when you open up KidKare, you are either going to see your dashboard, which is what we see now, or you might see your list children area first. So if you do that, it's really good to periodically go to your dashboard area and check out the names that are listed because these are children whose forms are needed for one reason or another. So you have three main areas to look at. The top one, which is going to be right in your face when you open your screen, which is really good, are the pending children list. So it's going to, it might be 0, you might not have any pending kids, or you might have 40 pending kids, which we hope you don't ever have that. So anyway, any children that are listed in this area, it means that the center currently doesn't have current forms on file for these children. They're either new children that your center has enrolled and you haven't had the parents complete the forms yet to get to your sponsor to activate, or they might be children that have been at your center a while and their forms have expired because the enrollment forms are only valid for a year from the date the parent signs them. So we want to try and keep kids out of the pending category because as I've mentioned in previous videos that if you serve food to pending children, they are not included in your claim calculation and you will not receive funding. So, this is really avoidable and something you want to avoid. All right, so the second area, if you scroll down a little bit, below the pending area will be the expired/expiring enrollments. So any children you see in this area, it's kind of a heads up to the center. It's like, okay, this kid or these children in this area, their forms are still good, but they're going to expire soon. So it's kind of letting you know, go ahead and get those forms, renewal forms out to the parents so you can get them back and we can get them updated before the child actually falls to pending. So this is another good area to look at on your dashboard. And we'll get into it in a minute. But the third area you want to take note of is the infant feeding form area. The reason this area is on here, and KidKare did this, which is really awesome, is because if you have babies under 12 months, besides the parent completing the enrollment and income form, they must also complete an infant feeding preference form. And these forms look different for each state. Some states have a separate form for the parent to complete, and some states have the infant feeding preference area embedded in their enrollment form. So it just depends on where it is, but nonetheless, the parent has to complete that for the center to be reimbursed for that baby. So even if the parent has provided complete and valid enrollment and income forms and that baby is active, if we don't have an infant feeding form on file, you will not receive funding. So these are really important forms, and hence that is why this area shows on your dashboard as well, to give you an indicator that we're missing forms for any babies that are listed here. All right, so you know what each of these areas mean. So all you have to do, this is why it's so nice, because it's, again, it opens up and it's super visible. It tells you exactly what's needed for each child. So with their names listed, you would just go in. It's like, okay, for Betty Boop and pending, I need to go ahead and get those forms printed for the parents. So you can just click on her name, either first or last name, it doesn't matter. And then what it's going to do is take you to that child's individual information screen. So all you have to do here is go below their blue box, and there's a little link. We've asked KidKare to make this more visible, but they haven't done it yet. But anyway, it always sits right below the child's blue box. It says enrollment/IEF form. You want to click on that, and it's going to generate a PDF with the child's forms. And let's take a minute here to do that. Well, anyway, so yeah, it's going to go into your downloads area. So then you just go up And then there you go. It's pre-populated as much info as it can. Now on the enrollment page, this is a Virginia form. So again, each state's forms look differently, but they all require the same info. So, but normally on the enrollment form, all of the information that we've had in KidKare is going to pre-populate. So really, unless something's wrong on this form, the parent just needs to go down and sign and date, and that's it. So it's really easy. There's really no room for error, which is awesome. We know parents are in a hurry, so this is really simple. And the enrollment form is the form that activates the child. So if we scroll back up, the first page is the income eligibility form. So the only information that's really going to pre-populate on this form will be the child's name, the parent's name that we have in the system, and then the parent's social security number if we already have that. Nothing else pre-populates, and the reason being is because the USDA and the state agencies assume that the household income status probably will change somewhat from year to year. So the parent is required to write in all of their current income information. So it's important that they do this completely. If they have a case number for food assistance, they would write that in. Again, all state forms are different. Or they would go down to wherever their income section is and write in everything that's required. They need to read through the form and make sure they complete it appropriately. So again, some of the information's generated on the income form, but not as much as on the enrollment form. And then if they do have, okay, this child is not a baby. We'll go through that in a little bit. But anyway, so it's really nice. You can just generate the form. You can hand it out to the parents and, get that back from them and either, send it to your state agency if you don't use a sponsor, or if you use a sponsor, send it to your sponsor right away. Okay, so that's really awesome there. So then we go back into KidKare. So that's your pending child area. So we want to make sure that we get rid of children in that area right away. All right, so on the expired and expiring, same thing. You just go and you click on the child's name. It will pull up their individual screen in KidKare and go again to that link, the little blue link below their box, and you want to click on that. All right, so let's pull up the infant feeding form so you can see what that looks like. So we see that Thomas Jefferson here is a baby under 12 months. So when we click on his forms or his individual screen, now we might already have his enrollment and income form on file, but if you want to print, if you don't have a blank infant feeding form, you can still access it through the blue link below his box on his child screen. And I'll just show you how that shows up. So if you do already have enrollment forms, you can just bypass the other forms that come up when we generate the PDF here. And the infant feeding form, again, this is for the state of Virginia, but it will be probably the last form in the PDF that you generate. So if it's all you need, you can just print that one page off and make sure the parent completes all the appropriate areas. They have to, on this form, initial and date what their feeding preference is. And if they want the center to provide formula, the center must list their formula type that they offer to the parents on the form. That is required. So you can do that yourself if you want to. And then again, always sign and date by the parent. Anyway, so that's it. Just wanted to let you know how important the dashboard is to help you retain your funding. And again, it's also a good way just to know what forms you need parents to complete. There's a lot of centers that I've dealt with in the past. They just can't keep up with, they can't remember what forms are needed for which children. They seem to send duplicate forms, or they're asking parents to complete forms when it's not necessary. And we certainly don't need to bother the parents any more than we have to. As we know, you guys are busy running the business. They're busy running their lives. So it's really awesome when you can just pay attention to the dashboard screen, click on the child's name you need forms for individually, get those forms printed off, hand them to that specific parent, get them back, get them done, and boom, you're done for a year for that child. All right. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, you can always email at this site at foodprogramknowhow@gmail.com.